Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel. Sorry we missed Sunday. Harry was in Benidorm, probably on a pavement somewhere passed out. Me and Lee thought we'd just give it a miss and we'll go for one bumper episode on a Tuesday. So we've got a review of the whole week that's just gone, Facile Vega. We've got some big horses that came out on the weekend, so we're reviewing them. And we've got some nice horses that showed themselves midweek and some nice novice chases, so we'll be covering them as well. And a look towards Cheltenham on the weekend. I unfortunately can't make the Friday. It's probably the first day I'm going to miss in a while, but I'll be there on the Saturday. I'm not sure about Harry. He might be there, but it should be cracking day's action at Cheltenham on the weekend. As you said, lads, we've got an action-packed show to go through, so we'll get the pleasantries out the way to start with. Harry, you're back. Benidorm was something. How was it, mate?
I don't know whether you can tell by the sound of my voice to everyone watching. It was certainly something. If you've never experienced Benidorm, I suggest you actually do, because when they say it's England in the sun, it really is. It was a cracking weekend. We managed to watch the racing throughout, and I ate a little bit of humble pie, but after Zanza the other week, I am more than happy to take my slice of the pie this week. Ash, obviously, if you haven't watched the show, is a massive fan of Teahupoo and sprung a massive upset in Hatton's Grace, beating Honeysuckle. So, hat tip to you, sir. A massive winner for you, and it was quite a good Sunday for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mighty Potter, Teahupoo, and Irish Point was chinned on the line to Nationale. We'll get into those horses later on, but thank you, Harry. And the edit I put together on Sunday afternoon about you was that was all that made my week.
It's a good job I wasn't in a state to see it, so it was all right.
Good man. And Lee, we had some cracking horses out. Me and you kept it fairly quiet as we were back in Great Britain watching the football, but it was a good weekend's action and can't wait to review it.
Yeah, top class action. I thought there's plenty of horses that I didn't see winning, like Teahupoo, but look, let's get stuck in.
Yeah, let's get stuck in. And we've got, do please stick around for the Cheltenham preview later on. We've got 4 main races from there. We've got the John Durkan over on Sunday as well, and the Hilly Way of a Nergament preview, and some nice handicap fancies that at least I've got, and I'm sure some of the boys have got as well. But we'll start with the biggest sort of upset, shock, news story of the weekend. Honeysuckle was beaten for the first time. Her 16-win unbeaten streak came to an end as Teahupoo beat her. Classical Dream was in second. Harry, it's a horse that you've got a mixed relationship with, Honeysuckle, but what do you make of the performance overall? She still ran a good race on her seasonal reappearance, but she's not ended up in the winners' enclosure. It's quite a weird feeling.
It really is, Ash. And all you've got to do, to be fair, I think you can upgrade this performance. Now, I know she's got a 3 to her name now, but the 3 in front are really, really smart horses on the day. Classical Dream is an out-and-out stayer. Teahupoo looks like a really good horse. The rain came in time for that horse, and he relished it, didn't he, really? The pair pulled a mile clear. I mean, I think it was that 32 lengths, the cumulative distance in front of that horse, Ashdale Bob. Now listen, regardless, I know she's got a 3 to her name now, but I think you can upgrade her run. She had a target on her back turning into the straight. I just thought that she was going to be vulnerable. I said it to my mates when she turned in. I thought, well, she's still going to kick on. She showed that little burst of speed that she usually does. And then she kind of pricked her ears, I thought. And when the other 2 came past her, she went again. And I think she just got outstayed, personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with the run. If she goes there in any sort of form that she was in last season's and the year before's champion hurdle, she's still got a massive chance. She's an each-way value now in the prices I've seen. Obviously, Constitution Hill is 7-2 on, which I think is, yes, he is bound to be that short. But Honeysuckle, I think, is still a top-class mare, as she's proved. And fingers crossed, I think she could run a really nice race in this year's champion hurdle again. So that's whether she stays in training, though.
And that's whether she actually goes to the champion hurdle. The race she shortened up for 10s into 5s was the mare's hurdle. A few of those Twitter shrewdies out there put her up before that run and decided to get the value in there. Now she's 5-1. The debate here is, does she stay in training? I think there's absolutely no need to retire her here. She was showing, and it's unfortunate, but she was showing sort of glimpses of regression last season. Like her RPRs from last season started at 160, went to 161, and then her final 2 runs were 159. She's run to a RPR there of 158, and I agree with Harry's point there. She's probably been outstayed by a Stayers Hurdle contender in Classical Dream and a potential Stayers Hurdle horse in Teahupoo against on a trip that she's performed well on it in that race before, but she is an out-and-out 2-miler. She's got that speed. What do you make of her going forward? Can you see her ever bouncing back to that champion hurdle winning sort of potential that she's got?
I think it's pure madness that people are seeing to retire already. Look, what she's lost is that unbeaten record. She hasn't lost anything in defeat, I don't think. She's only been beaten a couple of lengths by Teahupoo. Obviously had his conditions as well. Classical Dream is a multiple Grade 1 winner. Stayers Favour, especially on that ground. Look, there's miles back to the fourth there, like Harry said. So look, I don't think she's lost anything in defeat. Bar that unbeaten record. Look, if she had built up to them champion hurdle wins and she hadn't been winning so many beforehand, people wouldn't even have said anything about this race. Look, Henry de Bromhead is 2 from 27 in the last 14 days. So his horses aren't going to be top notch. That haven't been firing it at the minute. So that's maybe something to consider. Connection says they're happy after the race. And then they'll go to the Irish champion hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival next.
Can I just say something, Ash?
Yeah.
I mean, she was obviously nearly picked in this race. I can't remember how many years ago it was now.
Yeah.
Was it Ronald Pump? She was nearly picked in that. Now, I think, as I mentioned earlier, and you agreed with me, I think she got outstayed now, returning back to 2 miles. She stays that 2 miles really well. I think she stays this trip really well, but she's just been beaten by better stayers, I thought. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this run.
I think she's now...
Worst she's actually... so she always kind of comes on for the run as well, though. So this is the worst that she normally performs each season. It's been in this race. It's probably our worst run. So I'd definitely forgive her.
And the thing is, Rachel Blackmore always talks about she has this sort of furlong of just electric speed, and that's what's got her this unbeaten streak. And you can kind of see it come around the bend. I was worried, but then when she actually came, before the bend, I was worried. When she came round the bend, I thought, here we go, she's just going to put it on, and then she's just been outstayed. And I don't think this is a perfect trip. Although she's won this race two years on the bounce, her RPRs were the lowest they were for that season. So it's obvious that this race isn't the perfect conditions for her, and probably Cheltenham is. So like, I wouldn't be throwing her in the bin. I think it's absolute rubbish to be sort of talking about retiring her.
Yeah.
But the one thing I really want to take away from this is I do think, in the back of my mind, in the heart of hearts, I do think she is regressing, and it's an issue of National Hunt Racing is that let's look back to April time. We were talking about this potential Constitution Hill Honeysuckle clash at the Punchestown Festival there when Constitution Hill was a novice. And it's something that you only have to listen to Kevin Blake for 5 seconds and he'll tell you, but it's something I really agree on as well. That clash is just looking more and more like it really should have happened. Like, you have Constitution Hill. I know he's matured over the summer, and he's shown himself in the Fighting Fifth, and he's had that summer to mature into an open company horse. But by the way he won that Fighting Fifth and the way he won the Supreme, you surely have to think that him versus Honeysuckle, who's still unbeaten at that time, she's just won a champion hurdle, would have been some clash. And it's a real shame we've missed out on that clash, in my opinion, Jed. I don't know.
But that's hindsight, though. You know what I mean? Like, he might have got took out in the first flight, and then we would have seen nothing. Like, you don't know. But maybe the clashes should be on more, if that's what you mean. Yeah.
It's just annoying. Like, I said it at the time, and not many people agreed with me that the clash should have happened. And it is hindsight, but I really do think this clash should have happened. It's just a shame that we're in this sort of state of sort of a bit of underappreciation of race planning, where we just look to find another day. And I really think
saying that though, Ash, saying that, right? If she goes to the Irish champion hurdle and bolts in again, I think this clash is well and truly back on track, and I could genuinely see them close. Now, if you want to punt at that price, I would certainly suggest getting on now, because if she shows any sort of form, she's not. What is she now? Nearly 8-1.
She's big, yeah. It's an each way to nothing at least.
Yeah, but exactly. So I thought she was an each way to nothing going into the race on Sunday. So I'm glad I didn't take it. But
I'm not too sure on her going forward. Unfortunately, I'd love to see her back at that stage, but I do think she's shown a bit of regression currently over the summer. But Teahupoo obviously won the race, and the connections seem like they're going to stay as hurdle route. 12-1 currently for the race, Lee. Would you be seeing any interest in that?
Not for me. Maybe it's for you, but I think it'd need plenty of rain, soft ground, and I wouldn't be one I'd be taking, to be honest.
That's the thing putting me off the Stayers Hurdle for him. He's a really nice horse, and I could see him going on to the Christmas race now. Where is it on my screen? The Dawn and Engineering Christmas Hurdle, the one that Classical Dream won, where he got that head start against Flooring Porter.
Yeah,
that looks like the next on the agenda, I'd say, because you get that soft ground, but the ground is an issue. He has won twice on yielding. I think beating Quilixios on one of those times, and we know Cheltenham like to strive for that good to soft at the festival, so you could potentially see him turning up and running well in the Stayers. And look, if I
at Christmas though, does sometimes get a better ground.
They drain really well. They drain really well.
It does drain well. So maybe keep an eye on that if it does go there.
I think it was soft ground last year, so hopefully they get a bit of a deluge, and we'll see. If you told me that tomorrow the Cheltenham Festival would be soft when the Stayers goes off, I'd probably back him at 12s, because I really think he's a nice animal. He's probably the most unexposed horse coming into that sort of division this year, but we'll see. Harry, anything on Teahupoo, or should we move on to another star Irish horse?
No, I completely agree. If the ground comes up soft, as it was proved on the Wednesday last year, if that carries on another day onto the Thursday, then I think 12-1, well, you can guarantee the Irish will come in for the horse if it does turn up a bog. So, and I think he'd demolish the field if it turned up really soft. So, I thought it was a really good performance, and to outstake Classical Dream, you must be a decent stayer. So I thought it was a really good performance all in all.
Winning before him was Mighty Potter for the same connections of Jack Kennedy and Gordon Elliott. This was really nice, Harry, in the Dryn Moor. He's picked him up 3 out, taken to the lead. He's made a clanger at the 3 out, and he's taken the fence with him, but he's still won. What do you make of his credentials going forward? Do you really think he's this top level star?
Serious horse, this is, Ash. Now, to beat Banbridge, who's been so impressive on his last 2 chase starts by 18 lengths, and Gaia de Maynil, who is, well, I thought he ran really, really well. I think the unlucky one was 3 Stripe Life, because that horse was going well, but take nothing away from this winner. To do that in the Dryn Moor against some serious horses was definitely a step in the right direction. Listen, we've said it all along, and I know you've banged on about it. I thought he'd be so much better over a trip, and he's proved it. He just has proved it now. If Gordon gets him in any sort of the form that he showed at the weekend, come Cheltenham, I think he's a massive player. I thought the 2 mile 4 is a perfect trip at this time, if I'm being honest. He just seemed to relish it, and he seems to stay well. He can jump at speed. Yes, he jumped a few a little bit iffy, but he jumped well on the whole, I thought. And for only his only a couple of starts beforehand, you can't complain with that, from going from a beginner's chase to a grade 1 and winning like that. So yeah, serious horse.
Yeah, I agree on that point. 2 mile 4, sort of that distance now looks good for him at the moment, but I don't know how many more times I have to keep saying this, and I'm really sort of happy I've said this in the past. I seriously think he's a Gold Cup horse in time. I really believe going in next year, it may not be next year, maybe they go for the Ryanair next year, but I think they need to catch him while he's hot, and I really do believe that we're just scratching the surface on his ability while we go over a trip.
I wonder how many Dryn Moor winners have won the Gold Cup.
Oh, you're going to have to find that in the background. I talk to Lee. You're going to have to find this now. But I really, like anyone who's followed me more than 6 months, take me back to Supreme days. I really like this horse. Like, I'm a big fan. Harry was next to me when he won at Punchestown. I was over the moon. He's gone and done it in the Dryn Moor Lee. It was a really taken performance, a proper grade 1, and we can now think of him as a proper contender for the Turners, as he is the 4-1 Ante-post favourite.
Yeah, I thought it was a great performance, to be fair. I thought it was a great race going into it. I don't know if the ground just, helped with the horses being strung out. Obviously, 3 Stripe Life, he made a howler. That was his party over. He got pulled up. But he quickened away after the last and put daylight between him and Gaillard de Maynil, who I thought was the eye catcher in the race. Travelled great, jumped well. Paul Townend brought him round the houses, and I thought he'd come to win the race. But Mighty Potter, picked up after the last, and on that ground, it was a great performance, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it was a really good performance, and I wouldn't be throwing away your dockets for Banbridge, who was in third there. He did underperform a little bit, but the ground went against him. And
Yeah.
I remember Joseph O'Brien telling me something at Cheltenham that they'll always be looking for that good ground with him. That's probably why they've gone here and not gone to sort of a Christmas race. They want to find that good ground.
Just for the second there, would you now think he is the National Hunt Chase winner?
Chase. Look, I wouldn't say he's the winner. I think he's improved himself in my books. Like I didn't know his sort of capabilities as a National Hunt Chase horse. I think I saw on the Saturday Live. I wasn't really sure at his price, but he's there now.
That's his best he's jumped, I would have said.
Yeah, he's still a bit too short in my books. I think there's potentially more solid horse in behind, but he's definitely shown himself. Harry, have you got that stat for us?
I have, and there's not been. I mean, there's only been 2 5-year-old winners, 2 other 5-year-old winners, and one of them was actually trained by Gordon Elliott, Delta Work. Now, what's Delta Work gone on to do? So, if you fancy backing a horse, excuse my dogs, if you fancy backing a horse for the cross country at Cheltenham in a couple of years' time, then feel free. You might get some sort of prize. M4 Allen won the race, and obviously that horse was really well fancied before. Obviously, he took his little back step. He might come back to be a Gold Cup horse. He was rumoured to be a Gold Cup horse going into when he was through his purple patch. So listen, if he continues that sort of form, he might well be a Gold Cup horse. But it's a good achievement for a 5-year-old as well. Yeah, no, definitely. It's just perfect campaign to see these young horses coming into this stage, sort of this age, rather than waiting until they're 9 to get them into to novice company. Marine Nationale won the race before him, the Royal Bond. We might keep this quite a short conversation, lads, because I'll be sick if I see that race again. How Irish Point hasn't won, I can't believe. But Lee, Marine Nationale didn't have the easiest running through the race. He had to dodge a few, and he's won quite nicely there. And it's good to see Barry Connell with a winner. Oh,
it's great to see, to be honest. And look, he had to wait for his run coming to the last. He was a bit hemmed in by Astro Diamond, and look, he was boxed in and then waited for his run, come to the last, kind of bunny hopped it and ballooned it, and then picked up well to the line to just snab Irish Point. Look, I think the winner is got a good deal more, to be fair, and definitely had to wait for that run. So look, you can mark him up, I would have said.
Yeah, you can definitely mark him up, I'd say. And they've said he's definitely a supreme horse. He's not going to be stepped up to a Ballymore trip, Harry. So would it be interesting you as a potential Cheltenham Festival winner? Obviously, we could be seeing Facile Vega in that division, but he looked to win it quite nicely there.
He did. I was disappointed with Champ Carly in the race. He was smashed.
He wants further. I
know. I made the silly mistake of saying GSI and get.
I think was it Champ Carly time? Was that
he was free as a bird though, like, wasn't he? He just
pulled his head off.
He was more. Yeah, he was practically mowing the ground up at one point.
I tell you what, the one that did. I mean, obviously the winner surprised me, and he was 2-1 Ante-post, and he drifted right out.
Yeah.
The second was 4-1, and it's gone to 16s.
Yeah, well, to 18-1 SP. I mean, that's massive. Astro Diamond. I thought that was a really nice nice performance. Defo won for one of those mares races. I think she looks a little bit class. Now, I think the first 4 are going to be really smart horses. Champ Carly learns to settle over a trip. I think he could be a machine. Obviously, he's got that form line with Brazil, but take nothing away from this winner, Ash. I mean, the fact that Michael O'Sullivan came there at the last, made a mistake, and still ran on well to win. Even with 50 yards to go, I still thought Irish Point is going to hold on here. And then it was just that afterburner, just went bang. And he's a really, really smart horse, this one.
I could potentially see Irish Point maybe stepping up in trip, but like Gordon has a couple of Ballymore horses already, and he doesn't have many Supreme horses currently. Obviously, it's going to be a division dominated by Facile Vega this season, it looks like, and we'll get onto him later. But maybe he could do either. I'm not too sure on that race currently. I'm not sure where they'll go, but Astro Diamond, I'll echo those points. We'll come back to Saturday. Jonbon won in the Henry VIII chase, Harry, beating Boot Hill by 8 lengths. You're a Jonbon backer for the Arc, or you're a big fan of this horse. What do you make of the run?
Well, I mean, Ash, it was. I saved myself then. I don't know whether you said.
I thought you were. I thought you were.
I saved myself, but no. Listen, Jonbon, he can't do any wrong, can he? I mean, Boot Hill came to him. And Aidan Coleman just said, right, go on, go and win your race. And he was trapping down to that last. I was worried. And then he performed one of his best jumps around the whole trip. So listen, seeing him over those fences down the back straight at Sandown was something seriously impressive. I don't know what the times would in comparison. I'd like to know what that was. I didn't really take much notice of that compared to Tingle Creek, but I thought Jonbon was seriously impressive. And go on.
He got one of the highest ratings for that race in the past, so he's performed well for that race. I won the highest ratings going off past that. So yeah, it was definitely.
I just can't see anything living with him. I mean, Dice Like Dynamo tried it. Those two went hammer and tongue, and they killed each other in the Supreme. But over fences, the fact that he's so quick over them, I don't think anything will be able to live with him. He's a different. All you've got to do is look at his pedigree. Yeah, just look at his brother. I mean, his brother was a serious horse for obviously Willie Mullins. But I just can't see anything beating him or getting anywhere near him
from the last as well. And then to have that,
exactly,
he can stay as well. I've seen obviously Nico says that he stays. Henderson's adamant, and I've just seen AP McCoy mentioned it as well. So to have that at Cheltenham as well to stay favour, I think you need that in an arc.
Well, JP didn't exactly keep his hand in his pocket for this lad, did he? So
yeah,
I mean, he's been waiting for. I think he's got a poor record in this in the Arkle, I believe.
Yeah, he has.
So yeah, he looks certain at this time.
I'm just going to say, I don't actually think we learnt much on Saturday. I think we learnt more from his Warwick run. Like, he's beaten a 147 rated Boot Hill by 8 lengths, and like what was the Skelton horse? Unexpected party. He may as well not start it. You know, I don't think we've actually learnt that much. And to be honest, if I learnt anything from that race, I think we do want to see him up and trip a little bit more. Like, there's a stage where I thought Boot Hill was going to give him a proper race now, and you know, he's gone away. He's beaten this horse by 8 lengths. Like,
he's won at half speed, Ash.
Has he though? Has he?
Yeah.
Like, he's been slowed up at the finish, but he had to. Who's inside? Aidan Coleman. He had to get real busy on him now before when Boot Hill came alongside him. I'm not too sure about that.
But that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. If Jonbon turned in, jumping the second last at Cheltenham, you're going to be thinking, well, you know, he's got a kick, and you know he'll get up the hill. So,
he's only went.
Me personally, I thought he was impressive.
He's only went to 74 from 2, so you know, if you want that price,
I wouldn't have shortened him at all, to be honest. But you know, one of them. We'll move on to the same course and distance race on the card. The Tingle Creek and Edwardstone blew them out the water. This is the race that I did learn something from. I finally got on the Edwardstone train. I do really believe in this horse. I thought he was quite good. He's beaten Greenatine, who would have been primed for his life in this race. We know what Nichols is on about with this horse. And he was really goodly. Like, you can't really knock Edwardstone. He's beaten Shishkin 16-odd lengths, and he's really staked his claim now for the Champion Chase.
Yeah, he has, yeah. I thought it was a cracking performance. Look, Shishkin bombed out, basically clouted 3 out, I think it was, and but he was never really going. Grenadine, like you say, would have been primed for this race. This was like his target, you know, this race, maybe it's the Celebration Chase. Them are his targets for the season. And like you say, he would have been primed, and he fairly sprinted away from him as well. So look, it was a cracking performance. I'm really pleased for Tom Cadden and Alan King as well. He's been trying to win the race for a while, and he was over the moon with it. So look, is he a Champion Chase winner? Energamine's out this weekend. We'll see what he's back like, but I never had him on my radar. People that crabbed that Arkle run. That now we've got a Tingle Creek, and obviously we've had Blue Lord, and there's a couple in behind. Look,
Brave Shashka.
Who was
that fell, but you know,
he did fall. But the race might not be turn out so bad this season. At the time, you're easy to crab them, but we'll see how it goes. But look, great performance.
Harry, they've got a fairly steady gallop there. They weren't exactly sprinting away at the start. He was held up. They were going 15.5 second furlongs, and then he's been held up, and he's come to the finish. He's jumped past Greenatine, he's scored away from them. That was really quite taking there. Shishkin's out with a washing, and that was a really, really good run. Like, whether he's a Champion Chase winner, that's another conversation, because Energamen is that quality. But he definitely deserves his price tag of 3-1 second favourite for the race, and he was very, very good here.
Now, I did feel sick because if those who watch this race,
Sorry, hang on, who's on the phone?
It was him. He was on the phone, and I wasn't. I wasn't on the other end. Now, I absolutely adore this horse. I said to everyone, it's Smash Nube Negra. Now you can all see why I thought that, because I thought he's class. I do think he's class. He jumps so well, and it was just an obvious standout. And I don't know why I didn't tip him up, but that the Grenadine, I thought Grenadine would be prime for this, and he was. He ran a really nice race, I thought, and lost nothing in defeat there. Now, it was interesting you mentioned, Ash, that they didn't go that quick. Now, Nico de Boinville came out, I think today, and said that they were going as fast as Shishkin could go. Now, I thought that was really interesting. The fact that obviously they've mentioned he's going up in trip, he just didn't seem himself. And I know he's prone to making a little mistake. He made one in the Clarence House. I think it was the third last or something. But he just didn't jump well, and to me, he didn't look like the horse we know him. Gentle to me, he went off like a scolded cat, and he didn't get up the hill. And listen, I thought there's only two horses to take out of that, and it's Grenadine for the Celebration Chase, and it's Edwardstone for the Champion Chase. But for the Champion Chase, Energumene, I got slated on Twitter at the weekend for saying that Energumene would get him on his knife and fork, he'd swallow him up, and he'd throw him back out, and I still stand by that.
Did you not see? I don't know if you've seen beforehand. So on RTV, they showed Shishkin getting checked over beforehand.
He got kicked. Yeah,
he got kicked. So, and then at the start, obviously, he didn't get the best of the start. I think he jumped into Edwardstone at either the first or the second. He never had a dream trip, and then obviously he clattered 3 out. He didn't actually finish miles behind them, miles behind Grenadine. He stayed on again to then get third. Look, that was first run back after an injury. I would like to see him step up and see what he can do from there, but you wouldn't be confident, would you?
His first 3 fences, Ash.
Yeah.
If you watch it back in comparison to the Champion Chase, they were identical. He was being ridden along. He didn't jump them well, but this time he finished his race strong. Now that shows to me that, in my eyes, I think he's a little bit out of confidence, and I think he needs a confidence booster. So whether
if you are back to a Supreme, I remember who was in front of him now. Was it Melon's? No, I've got that completely.
Abracadabras, wasn't it?
Abracadabras, that's the one. If you are back to there, he was off the bridle early. He stayed on well. And
he made that mistake, didn't he? He made that mistake down the back and nearly fell.
Yeah, he's done that there. In his Clarence House win against Energumen, Energumen's absolutely pinged the last. He's jumped it fairly well. He's picked him on the line there by staying on. It looks like going up in trip is on the agenda for Shishkin. They've made no secret about that. Simple question. I shouldn't really say this because it's really hard to tell. But can you see him going for the Gold Cup? Because the Gold Cup was thrown into it by Nicky Henderson. I thought that was kind of a bit sort of reckless comments to make there, just mentioning the Gold Cup straight after a 2 mile mishap there. But I personally can't see him as a Gold Cup horse. Don't know about you lads, but Harry, any comment? Is it a comment to even be making on? No.
If he was look, if Allaho wasn't in the Ryanair, you could see him if he come back, but not. I wouldn't be taking him for a Gold Cup. I know that.
I wouldn't be backing him on the next run, let's put it that way. I'd like to see him in the winners' enclosure before. We'll quickly give a Noble Yeats that one over in Aintree, the Grade 2 Many Clouds. He's now as short as 10-1 for the Gold Cup. Lee, you seem to be nodding away there. Some nice performance from the Grand National winner. It was very good.
Yeah, I thought it was cracking on that, to be fair. Jonbon was riding away on him, but he sprinted. I think it was about halfway up the running from the second last to the last. The turbo kicked in, and that was him gone. Didn't jump the last great, but he's won it well. Hyson Yaw, that horse, I think, is going to go to the Roland Merrick on Boxing Day at Wetherby. Connections weren't too displeased. I think seen Lucinda Russell mention that maybe he needs a few more runs just to get him going, and the win too displeased, but the winner, I couldn't see him as a Gold Cup horse. look, I don't know what you lads think, but maybe it's like a synchronized. He'll be coming home well, but yeah, it was a great performance, I thought.
I'd like to see this horse, Ahoy Senor. I thought No Way Yates was good, by the way. The camera angle entry, I seem to find it a little bit misleading slightly for those horses on the outside. I remember seeing it with Protectorat in his Grade 1 2.5 mile novice chase win in 2021 when he beat Hitman maybe or it might be Hitman, yeah. And he sort of like came from the outside. The angle's a little bit misleading, but
from the second last, you mean?
Yeah. Like the sort of the camera angle on it there.
Yes.
Like his speed's very good, but let's just take the camera angle into sort of our conversation there. He was very good. No Way Yates. I'd like to see him. He has to step up for a Gold Cup, but I thought he was very good. But Ahoy Senor, I'd like to see him dropped in with a little bit of cover. To be honest, maybe stick some cheek piece on him or a hood on him or something like that. He just needs to settle. He comes into his fences and he's like he's galloping away. He's going nice and he gets his face. He's like, oh, okay. What do I do? Am I a pencil? No, I'm a printer. No, I'm a horse. I need to jump this. Okay, and then he jumps over it. Like he comes into it thinking really quickly and he just sort of gets it a bit wrong. When he calms down, he just gets it a bit. He gets it better. He gets it better. He just flows with it a bit more. I'd like to see him dropped in with a bit of cover so he just gets that and just try and switch him off towards the back. Then he can start staying on for a mile back and we can see him as what he was at the end of the season last season when he won Aintree. But fingers crossed he can get better. Harry, any comment before we quickly move on to a few more horses?
He Senor just isn't good enough anymore. He's picked me up, threw me out, and wound me right up. So I won't be tipping him up anymore or selecting him. But listen, go back to the winner. I just had a horrible feeling, Ash, that this is just going to be a bog standard Grade 2. Now this might come back and bite me. I understand that, but I mean, Dashel Drasher, he's getting on. He's 9. He was beaten 3 lengths. Ahoy Senor just hasn't progressed since last year, and Sounds Russians just wasn't good enough. Now, if you're going to compete against the big boys, your likes of Aplutard and your likes of Manila Indo, your Protectorats, and that's a different ball game in my eyes. So, how this horse got beat off 147 last year, I do not know. That is a different story.
That is a different story. It's the manifesto for Protectorat when he beat the Shunter and Hitman. I had to quickly go search that up. Right, we've got a few more horses to cover. I'm going to leave these ones to you, lads, so I need this to be very, very quick. Facile Vega, Harry, that's all you. What do you make of him in his main hurdle?
Keep it quick. Good. Just to find my tattoo, because now I know he can jump. He was electric. They just couldn't live with him. It's simple as. And he will just win everything.
I will arc back to some comments I made earlier in the week. The people putting these like, he's electric, he's a monster, he's the second coming. Just calm down, lads. He's won a maiden hurdle. Like, he's won it very well, obviously, but let's just calm down on these sort of preempted tweets.
When I've got a tattoo, I can justify that.
That's fine. That's fine from you, Harry. But he's probably beat trees. Actually, the second, I'm quite interested by the second because he slipped at Cheltenham. I thought he was going very well. Authorised Speed, Harry, another horse that you really like.
Yes, one of my horses to follow for the season. If you're a keen follower of this channel, now listen, this horse did exactly the same as Lingfield. He trapped down to the last and he had everyone holding their breath. Listen, the good thing is he manages to jump over it and he manages to keep going. So, listen, you can't not be impressed.
How Jane Moore stayed on there, that's incredible.
How he stays on most of the horses when they come down to the last, because he must have serious nightmares about horses going to the last, miles clear and jumping it. No, but it was really impressive and it's a heartwarming story with the owners involved as well. So
yeah, really, really good. Lee, Sandor Clegane, that was a nice winner midweek in Ireland.
Yeah, I thought he was impressive. Travelled strong. We ended up winning in the canter by 12 length. It had good form, actually. This Nookie Johnson, I think, was third behind 3 Card Bragg when Sandor was second. That Nookie Johnson actually got awarded the race in a 20-runner race the other day at Punchestown. 3 Card Bragg was third behind Imagine and Hercule de Soil. So the form's not too bad. The winner was actually 7th behind Facile Vega in a Punchestown bumper, but it was 2nd at the Dublin Racing Festival in the Grade 2 bumper as well. So very good form. Won well the other day. Maybe he's Albert Bartlett type look. Paul Nolan's did write it down. He's working on a 15% at the minute. He had that Joyo machine as well come out and win the other day. Maybe this horse is an Albert Bartlett type because he had the likes of latest exhibition running that race and stuff like that. So I can see him going well. And look, that was a good performance the other day.
Ballygriffincottage won at Haydock on Wednesday. This is a nice run. Chase debut, I believe. I'd say he's, I know connections seem to like the 3 mile novice chase for him. I think he looks a little bit more like a National Hunt Chase type to me. Like he looks like he's just got that just endless stamina. He doesn't have that sort of turn of foot or that spark of speed that you may want in a Brown Advisory, although it is 3 miles. I think he just gallops for days. He jumps really well when he gets into rhythm. He took his first 2 that he needed to sort of just get over quickly, but down the home straight, he put Beauport away really nicely. That was carrying a penalty, but I thought it was a really nice run at Haydock, and I'd love to see how he goes. And it's another one that Dan and Harry Skelton both really like. I spoke to them ahead of the Cheltenham Festival last season, and they both gave me this horse as their sort of Cheltenham Festival horse to follow. That finished 3rd in the Bartlett. They're 3rd or 4th? Might be 4th. Yeah, 4th in the Bartlett. So yeah, Ballygriffincottage, definitely one to keep an eye on. Eyecatchers, lads, before we move on to the preview, Lee, what's your eyecatcher from the week just gone?
Mine was behind Harry's horse to follow, Authorised Speed, Immortal. 2nd for Nicky Henderson, first time out. I thought it travelled well. It was the only one to kind of challenge Authorised Speed. Was beaten 6 length in the end. Obviously, Authorised Speed clattered the last. But I thought it was a good performance. First time out for Nicky Henderson. So that's Immortal I would want to watch.
I've got 2 for you. I've got Astro Diamond, which was in that Royal Bond race you mentioned there, and Common Practice. That was the 4th to Lossiemouth in the JP colours with the green and orange hat. A lot of people are talking about the horse in 3rd there as one going forward, and fair enough, that was really nice. But that Common Practice, I thought he made a real nice move around the outside there, travelling really well. He's absolutely belted the last, and he's still sort of canted on into 4th there. So I'd be really interested by Common Practice. Harry, do you have any eye catchers yourself?
I do, Ash. Now, one of they're both from the Foxtrot Racing Syndicate. One was at Kelso on Sunday. I'll quickly mention her. Now, I know Henry Brook. If you go on the YouTube, if you go on the Foxtrot Racing, you can watch the jockeys post race comments on all of their horses. Now, it's really interesting because when the horse won her maiden, her first hurdle race at Sedgefield, it was the race where it was an absolute calamity and 2 horses sadly lost their life. Henry Brook mentioned that he thought this horse is a serious animal, and she proved that at Kelso on Sunday, beating a nice horse with Nicky Richards in the Honeysuckle colours. And I know the Old Guard Racing Syndicate, they really liked the 3rd that day, Apple Away. Now, Auntie Bridgie, if you watch it, she was just getting going. And Henry Brook mentioned in his post-race comments that she is he loves her. He absolutely loves her. I'm going to give you another one. It was actually Aintree. It was the Walking on Air race. It wasn't Walking on Air. That horse is baffling me now because I thought was a shoo-in, really.
I thought he was going so well in that race. I couldn't believe he didn't win.
I just couldn't believe he didn't pick up. But it was actually a horse back in 6th that day, Sam Twiston Davis. He admitted in his post-race comments he got it wrong. They didn't go any pace, and I mean the winner made all. They were predominantly to the 4. Those that were 1, 2, and 3, they were towards the front. So I think WizKid off 144 was carrying off 124. Was carrying a featherweight. He will pick up a big prize soon. So there's 2 for you, WizKid and Ante. I can't think of a name.
He's ruined it. Walking on Air. I'll give a quick mention to that horse. I don't think that horse has gone at all. I thought his hurdling was really smart. It's something with Nicky Henderson hurdlers. I don't know what it is at 7 Barrows, but they just glide over it and they power their feet into the floor after it. It's not like an arcing jump that you'd like to see from a hurdler going into a chase sort of career potentially. They are proper hurdlers, and Walking on Air has shown it there. He may not be that grade 1 quality that I was thinking of last season for the Ballymore, but he might be one for a nice little handicap. He's still well handicapped off that mark of somewhere in the 130s, I believe. Right, we'll move on to our preview. Cheltenham this weekend, Harry. Are you going to be making the trip? Oh, he nearly did it again.
Oh, save
He's
myself.
so unprofessional, ladies and gentlemen.
Save myself then. I'm gonna try. I might go on the Friday. But I mean, I've got work, and if I can listen, if my boss is listening, I will be in work. So I know I've got work this weekend. That's I'm afraid. And Saturday is the England game, so I wouldn't be able to make it back in time. So unfortunately not. I'll be watching very closely. So
I assume, Lee, you won't be making the trip down to Cheltenham.
All 5 hours.
Pilgrimage.
5 hours from my house. No, I'll definitely not get back for the England game then. So
the highlight race of the Saturday, you two will be missing. Quite just absolutely pathetic from you, really. Midnight River topping the market for the December Gold Cup. Basically, well, it's not course and distance; it's on the new course, but same distance as the Paddy Power Gold Cup we saw last month. Midnight River was third in that race. Galore was the winner. That's 4-1. Iridoto was fourth that day. He's 6-1 for Paul Nicholls. Stolen Silver 8s. Warlord, bit of money, 10s into 8s. Fantastic Lady in there at 10s for Henderson. Harry, do you have an early selection for the December Gold Cup?
Iridoto for me, Ash. I can't get away from this horse. 6-1 is a little bit skinny, but only 5 lengths behind Galore last start, and we all agreed with it. That race is going to be strong. Still think really nicely treated off 139. Got £1 off the handicapper. It's only a 5-year-old, so there's expected to be improvement. And Paul Nicholls was quite bullish on this horse after his last run. So for me, Iridoto at an early stage.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I believe the second French Dynamite's going for a grade duration Sunday over in Ireland. So the form really is that good if that horse can step up there. Lee, yourself, December Gold Cup, anything at a nice, interesting price?
Well, look, first of all, Midnight River, a little bit short, but obviously the Skeletons, they've had Nubia Negra, Protectorat, Lemilos, and then Ashtown Lad last weekend. They're going for all these Saturday races. They're going for another one. I can see that angle off the last run. Il Ridotto, I'd be more interested off its grand annual run. Travelled like a dream to the home turn. Just didn't see it out. Obviously, it was soft ground then, but it really travelled well that day. And obviously, it gets £1, like Harry says. The one I'd take would be the Tizard horse. Sorry, I haven't got it at hand. Warlord, is it Warlord?
No, Warlord. That's good knowledge, that is, Lee, off your top of your head.
Warlord. It's just it's been one I've been interested in since this is Arkle form coming back. I think it wants this trip. It was in behind Grenadine in the Haldon Gold Cup at Exeter. Stayed on from a mile back, but it was still beating a long way. It's only been dropped £1, but still, I'd still be interested in this trip. I don't think the mark's great, but the trip was definitely right, and I can see him staying on. So Warlord, I'd be interested in at this stage.
The only horse I have a major interest in currently at this stage is Fugitive, and this comes with a warning because this horse is entered for, I believe, the 2-mile handicap chase as well. But if you just look at his form back from last month at Cheltenham, he was second to Amarillo Sky. I really think this horse wants to be set up in trip. That form has obviously been boosted by Amarillo Sky winning at Newbury the next time out, and that was a good winner there. So to get within a length of that horse is really good. He was staying on the whole time. He jumped fairly well. He just looked to have that bit more stamina than speed because Keelan Woods and Salah was trying to sort of wrestle him along a little bit to keep up with the pace. And 14-1, I believe, Fugitive is. So I'd be really interested in him if he does go to this race. 20-1, actually. So Fugitive, if he goes to that race, 20-1 would be interesting. But he is entered for the 2-mile Cheltenham Licence Insurance Brokers Handicap earlier in the card. There's a lot of hard luck stories in here for me. I'd be like Silver Hallmark's really well handicapped, but the ground's looking like it's going to be turning up good. And that's what you've got to be taking into this weekend. If you're looking at an Ante-post perspective, it's going to be good ground, it looks like. The one I have to mention, I'd be kicking myself if I don't. I have to mention Storm Control again, because this horse ran an absolute belter at a massive price last time out in the Paddy Power. Tried to make all, maybe went off a bit too quick and finished 8th there, 16 lengths back. Whether this new course will suit him better, who knows? But Cool Cody won it from the front last year. Maybe he can do something similar. He has the form on the good ground, and he is still a handicap. She was dropped £2 that run in the Paddy Power. So it'd be remiss of me not to mention Storm Control. Fingers crossed. You have anything to say, Lee, or should we move on?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it may be down to run at Doncaster, which
Yes.
might be an easier race, just for something to watch out for, just in case there's a lot of double end at it this weekend. But it might be an easier race from that Storm Control.
Is that the old Sky Bet handicap chase? It's now the Bet365 called.
Oh, the 205.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's the old, I don't know my knowledge well enough. If that's the old Sky Bet from last season, he was second in it last year, and Connections might be looking to go there instead. We'll see anyway.
And the season, I'm not sure.
We'll see, but we'll move on to the international hurdle, which is the next race we'll be covering. I've got my little banner here. And an interesting entry, Harry, which it has been drifting in the market, is Epatante. There was money for it. There's been money off, and now I'm looking at my screen.
Yeah, there's money. There's money back in now.
She's 11-8. She was 2-1 as early as 2 hours ago. There, if she goes, she just wins. Does she, Harry?
She's class, Ash. Everyone who watches this channel knows how much I love this horse. She's had nothing in defeat. The only thing that'd be worrying me now is she's starting to make these little jumping errors at key stages. She made one in the champion hurdle right at the last when she was delivering a challenge. Excuse me, that. And she made one against Constitution Hill. Now, I think about all of us are in agreement here that she wouldn't have beat Constitution Hill regardless. He wasn't even out of second gear. But I like to move it. Epatante, Nappers Hill. Nappers Hill beat So Royale by 2 lengths. I just think Epatante is a class act. If she's back to her best, they won't be able to give weight to her. So she's a little bit short though now, especially with the doubts that she won't go.
But yeah, Epatante, she has been making those couple of errors there. You would be kind of interested there, but she is 11-8, top in the market, so I like to move it there, Lee. I'm a big fan of this horse for this race. Obviously, if Epatante turns up, that's going to make it a real difficult challenge for him, but he won the Great Woodwell last time. Is it a horse that you can see winning this race?
Definitely. I think the Tristan Davies probably target these type of races as well. Paul Nicholls does well in target races, so do the Tristan Davies, and this is a good pot to collect. I don't see Epatante going. I don't see First Street going as well, because they won on First Street won on the same day Epatante ran in the fighting fifth. I think it was the Jerry Field, and he won, and it was only a few weeks back. So I don't see them running, to be honest. Between I Like to Move It and then Nappers Hill, I definitely take the 3 times course winner in I Like to Move It, and won well the last day in the Great Wood. We'll see what that form's like. Him and Jin Coco pulled a long way clear of the third. Sorry, I was just reading your message. Long way clear of the third. It was 74 last night, so when I was had wrote this out, it was 74, even money now, but I can't really see I Like to Move It get beat if Epatante doesn't go, of course.
Yeah, I agree. I hate to be boring, but I said this horse would probably go and win in the international, and he probably is most likely to if Epatante doesn't turn up. We'll quickly move on to the Ireland races. On Sunday, we've got a nice looking race. Well, I say nice looking race. It is actually. Captain Guinness is there, Harry, for the Hilly Way. And Nergamen is the main horse in there. We've got Fast or Slow, Global Equity, Master McShee. That horse finished behind Galloping the Champs multiple times last season. There's no price on my screen. I'm sure Nergamen's going to be short. Can you see anything breaking Nergamen down here, Harry? Do you think that Captain Guinness has a chance?
No. If I'm being serious. Master McShee's a nice horse, but Nergamen's class act. He demolished the Champion Chase field, and he'd have done it going round again, I thought. Listen, I think I did read that apparently the weather's going to be quite dry. So it could be a little doubt that whether he goes or not. But he's an 8-year-old. He's an absolute brute of a horse. Jumps well. Now we know that he can be dropped in as well. Now that was the most impressive thing for me. Usually he's been going from the front. Champion Chase, they were like, "No, we're not doing that anymore. We'll just drop him out and just let him demolish the field that way." So, and he did. Captain Guinness. I'm still probably crying about the fact that I think he'd have gone close in the Tingle Creek, but it's not to be, isn't it? So if he goes, it might have been a little each way play, or maybe even get the forecast up.
I've just seen your message, Harry. It seems that Epton is going for the International.
Yes, I think she is. I've just read on Twitter that she's been confirmed by Nikki, which is always good, but we know what that means. It means wait till Thursday.
GSI.
GSI.
No, I'm not saying those words ever again, especially after this week.
Lee will keep this short. Energman just kind of wins.
Well, won this last season. Like Harry says, obviously interesting that can go from the back, from the front. I would take Master McShay for second, just because of Henry de Bromhead's form at the minute. 2 from 27 is not over appealing, so maybe it's Master McShay to run second behind Energman.
And we'll quickly move on. Grade 1 on Sunday, the John Durkan. Last year we saw Envoy Allen come into it as the favourite, and Allaho. Was that when Allaho won? Was that what I was saying? Was that the season before? Yeah, Allaho won that day. Harry Galloping the Champs is going this year. It's a season opener. Obviously fell at Cheltenham, but he won at the Punchestown Festival. It'd be a nice start off for him, the John Durkan, and hopefully go on to the Gold Cup later this season.
That's the plan, isn't it, Ash? We want to see these superstars. He is a superstar in my eyes. He's ever since he's gone to fancies, he's made one mistake, and unfortunately for him, that was it was a brutal one at the last, wasn't it, at Cheltenham? So he's a class act, conflated in there at 11-2. There's been money for that horse, to be fair. 8s into 11-2. Fakir Dudaris is in there. Statler's got, it's a stays for.
Sorry, who? Statler? Statler, mate.
Okay. At least that's not as bad.
I've got him back, yeah.
No, you're not got me back for that. But listen, you want to see Gallopin win well. But like I mentioned, it's dry all weekend. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a few withdrawals that people aren't going to be happy about.
Lee, it's probably going to be Gallopin the Champs winning, but it is a nice field that could oppose him. They're conflated if he goes. I really want to see this horse stepping up and trip. They're going for 2.5 miles, it seems. Fakir Dudarian behind. First of all, does he just win? And second of all, at this current stage in your mind, how could you see him going in a Gold Cup?
I'm on the fence, to be totally honest with you. I can see him winning at the weekend, but it's not going to be an easy race. Conflated, Statler, Fakir Dudarian, like them are not any mugs. Do you know what I mean? Them are grade 1 horses, and I wouldn't be in a rush to back them. I know you always have a go that I like to chuck a few shorties in, but not for me at the weekend. Just a watch and brief, see how he goes, and then he's still got to then step up and trip. A Gold Cup trip is a lot different to what he's going to be running at the weekend. So just want to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll move on. So we've got very limited time left. We've got other horses that are interesting this weekend. If you're gonna, I'll have the floor at the end. We'll go to Lee first. You have a couple that may be interesting.
I did see. It's sorry, 1 second. Oh, we'll all have been caught. Is that right?
Yeah, we've all been caught. Yeah, we've all been caught. Yeah,
we've all been caught. It's in 3:00 on Saturday at Cheltenham. It was 9-4. I think it's now 5-4. They've went kind of joint with Outlaw Pete. And
it's not even that anymore, Lee. By the way, it's 11-8.
11-8.
Yeah, 11-8 now. Yeah,
11-8. Yeah, so they've obviously cut that one in, but it'd just be interesting stepping up to 3 miles after the last day behind Hermes Alen. So,
thank you very much, Harry. Yourself. Nearly did it again. It's a hat trick there. Goal number 3. And he's made them pay. Go on.
There's none for me at the minute. I've seen the Churchill lad for Rebecca Menzies has been entered for the juvenile hurdle at Cheltenham in the first on Saturday. That horse is really nice. Now I'm sure there's going to be plenty of days ahead, but there is one horse that you all know. Script writer's in here. Now I'm surprised they're going for this race and not the race at Doncaster. I can't remember what the name is.
The Summit, is it a Summit?
It might be the one that Porticello did. Porticello or not? No, Night Salute one. So That horse is definitely one to keep an eye out. If scriptwriter's any price, then the three letters might come back out.
But they've obviously won the trail the last day, and they're obviously trying to build this horse up into a triumph type of horse. So you'd want to stick with Cheltenham, surely.
He's entered for both Cheltenham and Doncaster.
Yeah, so regardless, I mean, the second that day came out and won by 24 lengths. So
Perseus Way or something, was it?
Perseus Way came out and won by 24 lengths. I'm not too sure what the other horses have done that day. Whether
you have to remember this scriptwriter was behind
Caribus and stuff, back in the day on the flat.
And stuff like that on the flat.
Serious horse, lads.
I'll take the floor from you, lads. I've had all day in this studio at university. You can see it. I've
toilet.
Gone through. Yeah, the toilet. I've gone through the cards on Cheltenham on Friday and Saturday. I found out my most interesting horses. So we'll start with the very first race on Friday, the 12:05, 2 mile one maiden hurdle. Gentle Slopes has entered. Won a bumper at Cheltenham the last day now. That was the horse that Milton Harris casually dropped in the shallow hurdle into his post-race comments. So if he's mentioning that horse, it could be interesting. He beat a nice horse in school days over that day while coming wide. So I think Gentle Slopes could be interesting. That race hasn't got any prices. Neither has the 225, a 3 mile 2 handicap chase. I like Broken Quest currently in this lineup. He's a good ground horse. As I said, it's probably going to be good ground at Cheltenham this weekend. He should be staying. He's won over this distance or similar to this distance earlier in his career. He was second over 2 mile 4 last time out at Cheltenham, and he was staying on there well. So he kind of tried to make all and then sort of just use his staying power to try and sort of gallop them into the ground. So I can see him going well. The 3 o'clock, the cross country, this race again isn't priced up, but we've got Delta topping the weights, topping everyone's interest for the race because he's starting his season off here, it would seem. I like 2, Singing Banjo. Anyone follow me long enough will know that I love this horse.
Just going to put him up, you know.
Yeah, Singing.
You have to remember people need to remember this one's a handicap, whereas at the festival, you're off levels. So just something to be interested in. Delta Wake, 12 stone. Sam Crow's in there for 11-1.
Yeah.
But Singing Banjo, 10-3, make him swinging.
I just love this horse. He's just a proper Banks horse. He loves it around the banks, whether it's Punchestown or it's Cheltenham. He loves it. He's back down to his mark when he was second to Back on the Lash at November meeting last season. Back on the Lash comes in here.
There's your TriCast. Just get stuck into that. Right, I've said it now. Get stuck in. Back on the Lash. You've got. I'm pretty sure half of these were in the race last year. And listen, horses for courses, and it literally is the case. As Lee mentioned, they'll be off levels in March, so if they want a prize, they'll get them in now. Back on the Lash, I know is a
Singing Banjo was just beat off Delta Wave the last day there. So
yeah, I love this horse. Singing Banjo, I think just has everything to go well. Another horse who I think can go really well is Mortal for Gordon Elliott. Now, if you remember, it's sort of looking a bit behind the scenes. This horse was the horse that travelled with Tiger Roll last season when he came over to Cheltenham to school all those days that he wasn't racing. When he went over to the specialist island tracks to run over the banks, he was always next to Mortal. And this horse is £3 lower than his 4th in this race last year. And again, looking below the surface, he was a schooling part to Tiger Roll. Even looking back to his normal handicap chasing days, he won a handicap chase in Killarney off 147, beat Any Second Now in a beginner's chase in 2018. And he doesn't mind the quicker surface. Like, maybe he doesn't want it proper good ground, but he doesn't mind it on yielding and stuff. So Mortal, I can't remember what mark he's off now. He's just somewhere in the 136. So he could go really well, I think. So Mortal and Singing Banjo will go on.
Say something, Ash. Can I just say something?
Go on.
In the cross country, if the Martin Keatley money comes for Back on the Lash, £1 lower than last year.
You and Martin Keatley. That's nearly as bad as.
Honestly, that man knows how to train a horse, and his Cheltenham record speaks for itself. Now, I'll match you too. We'll have a match bet.
Oh, no.
We've not had one of these. We'll have Back on the Lash versus
Singing Banjo. Fiver. That's fine by me.
Fiver. That's it.
Well, fiver. That's probably the worst match bet I've ever done. We'll move on to Saturday, the 12:05 2 mile 1 juvenile. The race that scriptwriter is entered for. I like Nurset in here for Daryl Jacob, Joseph O'Brien. Daryl Jacobs already jocked up, so it looks like he's going here. He was rated 91 at one point on the flat, and he's actually 6 in the Melrose off that mark, where a race won by Solcombe at York. That horse gone over to Australia, has won a Group 3, looks to be a proper Group 1 horse. On his hurdles debut last time out, was a bit airy, but I really liked how he travelled into his race. He travelled into his race with a lot of power. After last, he quickened away. He won by a good 6 lengths now, beating Morning Soldier. So I think he's really good. He's 14-1 for the Triumph. It'd be interesting to see how short he can go. Obviously, we've seen
Darryl went and rode him the last day as well over in Ireland.
Yeah,
as well.
I think they think quite a lot of this lad. So I'd be really interested by him. The 1240 horse, I'd be interested here. Bow to Greatness, but the only issue with him is I think he wants a bit of cut in the ground. I think he won at Leicester on soft ground now. And he's won on heavy before, so he might not want this good ground, but I really think a lot of Bow to Greatness. If he finds some soft ground in the winter and stepping up in trip, I could see him going well. I've mentioned the Cheltenham, I've mentioned the December Gold Cup, I've mentioned the International Hurdle, and I'll just move on to Sunday quickly, mentioning all these horses. 1:30 at Punchestown, Mares Novice Hurdle, Bella Scintilla's entered. I think she wins, and I think she goes and wins the Mares Novice Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. And that's it, done. I'm all done. Oh, that was me completely done there. We've hit the hour mark there, so we've covered it all fairly well. We've reviewed last week, which was bumper. We've gone for a preview of this weekend. We've done it an hour. If you did enjoy, please do like and subscribe. We'll be back Saturday mornings, 10:30 a.m. on the Saturday live show. We'll be going for our finalised picks for the weekend. It's going to be a cracking weekend at Cheltenham and Punchestown and Cork. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, as you can see there, and do have a good evening and happy punting if you're having a few bets. Thank you very much.